All right, y'all, welcome to US22. Don't be like Ruth Bader here. Wake up. It's time to learn something. Welcome to the Civil Rights Movement in 1945 to 1975. Here's a little preview for you here. Check it out. We're going to integrate the military. We're going to look at Brown versus Board of Education, 1954. We're going to look at Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, a letter from Birmingham jail. We'll look at the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And that's all, folks. Let's get into this right now. Okay, here we go. Get your pens ready. Get your papers ready. Get your minds ready. This is going to be standard 22 for you. Just give me a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, and the action shall begin. All right, here's what we're going to be doing. Answering this question. What are dimensions of that's right, the title of this is the give me the caps lock, Civil Rights Movement. All right, the years, I mentioned it earlier, 1945, that's the end of World War II, all the way to 1975. Yes, I'm going to be around. That's right. So, this is going to be called this. All right, there's a little summary for you. The movement in favor of civil rights for African Americans and other minority groups dates back to the earliest days of U.S. history. While this movement still continues today, yes it does, great strides were taken in the 25 years following World War II. All right, this standard requires you to demonstrate an understanding of how America again reformed itself, although not all Americans supported these changes. Very good. All right, our first topic is going to be entitled Racial Integration. It's all about this word right here, integration. All right, so let's do this. African Americans sought bravely, I just lied to you. They fought bravely in World War II. That's right. And also worked in war industries in the United States during the war. After the war, they once again, faced the racial discrimination that had been traditional before the war. But many people took bold actions to, what are they going to try to do? Stop discrimination, and promote, the big word, they're going to promote integration. It's all about integrating. Discrimination is separate, integrate is bringing together. So we're going to be reviewing the following details we're going to be looking at 6 major events in the recent history of the Civil Rights Movement. Very good. All right, let's have some fun. Here comes number 1. All right, here we go. Year 1947. That's right. All right, we're going to be looking at a person, a very important person in our American history. His name is Jackie Robinson. Yes, go watch the movie. It's good. All right, it came out last year. All right, Jackie Robinson was the first African American to play for a Major League Baseball team in the United States. And then he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. All right, this led to the complete integration, there's that word again, integration of baseball and other professional sports. Robinson was the National League's most valuable player. He was the MVP. All right, in 1949. So 1949. All right, the year before the Korean War starts. And he was also the first African American in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Until this time, African Americans played professional baseball with the Negro League. Not everybody. Very good, Jackie Robinson. We'll add some more to that in a little bit. All right, moving on from Jackie Robinson. That was 1947. Now let's move into 1948. All right, we're going to be looking at President Truman, the man that dropped the bombs. Let's see what else he did. All right. He issues an executive order to integrate the U.S. Armed Forces. I bet he makes A. Philip Randolph very happy doing that. And ends discrimination in the hiring of U.S. government employees. His actions launched the federal government's efforts to deal with racial discrimination. In turn, this led to the civil rights laws enacted in the 1960s. And we'll look at two of those at the end of this. All right, Truman. All right, integrating the military. All right, number 3 for you. Yes, we are at 1954. This is a big one for you right here. This is still important today on a huge scale. We're looking at a court case called Brown versus the Board of Education. That's right. All right, so the U.S. Supreme Court declared that state laws established separate but equal. You remember that court case? All right, public schools for black and white students denied blacks the equal education promised in the 14th Amendment. The court's decision reversed prior rulings dating back to Plessy versus Ferguson in the 1896 case. So Brown versus Board of Education will get rid of separate but equal. It gets rid of separate but equal. All right. It overturns Plessy versus Ferguson. So that's Brown versus Board of Education is doing this. All right. Many people were unhappy with this decision, and some even refused to follow it. Check this out. Governor of Arkansas ordered the National Guard to keep 9, we're looking for a number here, 9 African students from attending a school called Little Rocks Central High School. All right, President Eisenhower sends federal troops to Little Rock to force the high school to integrate. The big word again. All right, check out Forrest Gump. You see that in there? And I've got a buddy who was actually a part of this forcing. All right, so sum this up. Plessy versus Ferguson, which made separate but equal facilities, is gone by the Brown versus Board of Education, integrating our schools. All right, halfway there. Let's make our way to 19. We're in the 60s now. This is the same year that John F. Kennedy will be shot. What year is it? 61? 2? He's shot in 63. That's right. We're going to be looking at a very important person who will be assassinated in 68. His name is Martin Luther King. Whoops. Martin Luther King Jr. Very good. He was now arrested in the city of Birmingham, Alabama, while demonstrating against racial segregation. He's arrested again. He's been arrested many times. All right, in jail, while he's there, he's going to write something very famous. You should go read these. They're pretty good. Letters from a Birmingham jail. Easy to remember. All right, he's in jail in Birmingham, so he writes letters from a Birmingham jail. All right, to address fears white religious leaders had that he was moving too fast toward desegregation. In his letter, King explained why victims of segregation, violent attacks, and murder found it difficult to wait for those injustices to end. Later in the same year, King delivers his most famous speech. Yeah, now you all know what it is. I have a dream. That's right, which is not the name of it. That's what it gets coined as. He delivers it to over 250,000 people at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. In his speech, King asked for peace and racial harmony. Very good. Thank you, Dr. King, for doing what you did. All right, here we go. The next year, we're still in the 60s. It's the year after John F. Kennedy will be shot. It is not 63, but 64. Yes, we're going to be looking at what's called the Civil Rights Act of 1964. All right, so Civil Rights Act. It's about helping minorities. That's right. Civil Rights Act was signed into law by President LBJ or Lyndon B. Johnson. That's right. This law, this Civil Rights Act, prohibited or stopped discrimination on based of race, religion, national origin, and gender. It allowed all citizens the right to enter any park, any restroom, any library, any theater, and public building, all right, in the United States. It's basically an addition to the Brown versus Board of Education because it did basically the same thing. One factor that promoted or prompted this law was the long struggle for civil rights undertaken by America's black population. Another factor was King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech. Its moving words helped create widespread support for this law. Other factors were news reports of presidential actions that combated civil rights violations, such as Truman's he will do a Civil Rights Act in 1948, and Eisenhower would do a Civil Rights Act in 1954, and Kennedy sending federal troops to Mississippi in 1962. And Alabama, he has to send troops to Alabama in 1963 to force the integration, there's that word again, of public universities. All right, very good. Welcome to the Civil Rights Act, 1964. All right, our last topic under the Civil Rights Movement, 1945 to 1975. The last thing you have to know according to the GPS standards is going to happen in 1965. It will be called the Voting Rights Act. So the Voting Rights Act. That's right, the Voting Rights Act. Now, it outlawed the requirement for would-be voters in the United States to take literacy. What do they have to take? They had to take literacy tests to see if they could read and write, to register to vote, because this requirement was judged as unfair to minorities. The act provided money to pay for programs to register voters in areas with large numbers of unregistered minorities. And it gave the Department of Justice the right to oversee the voting laws in certain districts that had used tactics such as literacy tests or poll taxes. People were having to pay to vote, and they were doing this to limit voting to the minority groups. All right, guys, welcome to the Civil Rights Movement, 1945, 1975. Hope you enjoyed learning about it. All right, we are all done.